the best fish food for a beginner aquarist. It's dry processed food, or how I usually like to call it, shelf food, because it's what we are most likely to pick from the shelf of a pet shop. It's easy to use and a complete food, or at least is designed to be a complete source of nutrients and vitamins for our fish. That makes it by far the most common type of food used in the hobby. You can see right here on the table that I have a huge variety of fish food. I'm a bit of a hoarder and about 90% of it is shell food or dried prepared food, call it whatever you prefer. And the first in this category are the flakes. We usually crush them between our fingers and make small crumbs before we add them to our fish tank, or if you are lazy like me, you can just drop them in. There, our flakes will float for a period of time, but in my opinion, the longer they float the better. This way, especially the top and middle feeders will have enough time to grab them. Some of them are for daily use, others are microflakes, some of them will enhance the color. There is a huge variety of flakes. Apart from this, we need to mention that some food are dedicated for a particular fish. For instance, betta. The flakes are fish meal made out of krill and bloodworms. It even has small dried insects beside the flakes. Other fish needs vegetarian food like this one, based on algae or spirulina. Krill powder is very buoyant, so your krill-based food will float for longer time. Here, for instance, I just gave the little help to sink already. Don't worry, bottom feeders and the cleaning crew will take care of what's left. Unlike the flakes, next category of food, pellets, granulated food and even the powder will sink fast, so it's not appropriate for our top feeders. But some of them learn to swim down and pick up the bites from the ground, so don't be discouraged if initially some will end up on the bottom of the tank. There are also floating pellets, but those are mostly for ponds or cichlids and goldfish. As you can see here, I have a huge selection of granulated food, from the smaller grain size to bigger ones. Most of it is sinking food, except maybe this. This one floats for a long period of time. There is an important thing to consider when selecting a granulated type of food. You need to pick a grain size matching to your fish size. It's not ideal for your fish to keep grabbing and then spitting up the food because it is too big for their mouth. Also not a good idea for a big fish to chase multiple tiny bits of food and lose a lot of energy in the process. Here I mostly have baby guppies, so I will use the smallest grain size food. You can see it's extremely small. Right about this amount it's enough. Bigger fish will eat it as well, but I prefer to use the smallest grain size as possible. If you first add the food to your lid, you won't give too much to your fish. How to feed our fish, what quantity, when, and how to store our food are important things as well, but I will make a second food video to address those. You better subscribe to my channel so you won't miss it. This one is also for small fish and babies, and it even has a measuring spoon, so it's more convenient. By the way, just because you see a micro rasbora here, doesn't mean guppy won't have it. For your community tank, if you have bigger and smaller fish, one advice that I can give it to you is to either have different size food or to pick the one dedicated for the smaller ones. Bigger fish will find it and will eat it as well, but at least all the fish have a little bite. Or what I usually do, I put in a grinder many types of food, and the grinder will just crumble into smaller pieces, so I can add it to my community tank. This way I can provide what I always want to have, a big variety. Right here in this corner, it's my selection for wafters and tablets. They are the last type of dry processed food. It's most commonly used for catfish, plecos, shrimps and crabs. Need to emphasize on buying the adequate size for the numbers of fish you have. Don't buy a large bag if you only have a few fish, even if the bigger jars of food usually comes with a better price. But after you open them, the food will deteriorate in time. You can see there are a lot of shapes and size, and the ingredients are different depending on what kind of fish are they made for. We also have sticks in this category, but I only have shrimp sticks. The big tablets can be applied on tank glass. Fish will come and eat, so you can inspect them and check for disease. Maybe for a nicked scale or a broken fin, and for the health status in general. Shrimp wafters, sticks and even pellets should be added on a special plate, not directly into the tank, so the tiny bits of food won't end up in your substrate. Unfortunately, I don't have a proper one to show you, only this do-it-yourself one.